All right, welcome to our first lesson for Unit 3. Unit 3 is all about populations. We're going to have a few pretty short videos at the beginning. So let's get into it. So for 3.1, we are going to talk about specialists versus generalists. So learning goal is that you'll be able to describe the difference between generalist and specialist species. So the AP CED learning objective is you'll be able to identify differences between generalists and specialists. And essential knowledge is that specialist species tend to be advantaged in habitats that remain constant, while generalist species tend to be advantaged in habitats that are changing. So let's talk about specialists versus generalists. Specialists, there's a smaller range of tolerance or a narrower ecological niche that makes them more prone to extinction. They are specialists. They have a special job, a special niche, a special food, a special something. So there might be specific food requirements like pandas, poor pandas. They just eat bamboo and they just need bamboo. And bamboo is really not the best food to eat, but that's how they have evolved. They are specialists. Because of that, there's less ability to adapt to new conditions. So if a disease came through and wiped out bamboo, bye-bye pandas. And that's the same for any specialist species. If their special thing or their environment changed dramatically, usually they cannot really adapt because they really required that specific thing. They have a very small range of tolerance. Now, generalists are the opposite. They have a larger range of tolerance, broader niche, which makes them less prone to extinction and more likely to be invasive. So they have very broad food requirements. Think about any bird that just eats trash. They can eat, they're eating whatever, pigeons, they've just taken over because they are generalists. They don't have one specific thing that they need to eat. They aren't usually really picky about temperature or precipitation or anything like that. They are really, really, really good at adapting. Now, sometimes there are species that we can see they're clearly generalists or they're clearly specialists, but it's not always easy to classify a species as one or the other. It is a spectrum. So something may have a pretty broad niche, like they interact with a lot in their environment, but they're used to a specific set of resources, or they don't necessarily have a high range of tolerance. It can go kind of in the middle, but our super specialists, panda bears, koalas, they are very high on the specialist side. And then generalists, rats, mice, really any rodent, and raccoons. Raccoons, they can eat anything and they're really smart. Generalists. All right, so your practice FRQ for this very short lesson is to identify one characteristic of a specialist species. Just identify one thing. Just say specialist species, usually blank. And then explain how that characteristic makes them more likely to be extinct than generalist species. Think about what makes an organism or a species go extinct. Usually it's a change in the environment that they cannot adapt to quickly enough. And let me know if you have